Which can be heard from as far away as 6 miles. Lions may sleep for up to 18 hours a day, but they stalk prey, guard their territories, and vocalize all through the night, even here at Harambe.
My name is Sebastian. I'll be your safari guide out here today in the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. A couple of reminders before we head on out there. Make sure to keep your hands, arms, legs, and feet inside the truck and to remain fully seated at all times. That is for your safety as well as the safety of the animals out there. If you're looking to see, taking any pictures while we're out there, now's a good time to get those phones and cameras out and ready. Sports mode, action mode, live mode, whatever the closest equivalent on your device is. Never really know where we're going to see those animals or for how long, so it is always best to be ready for them wherever it is they might come across us.
You think so? No way, Jose. You're gonna miss the cheetahs.
Now we are going to wait just another moment or so here to get that final clearance from the warden. Once we get it, we're going to be starting off in the Little Ituri Forest. The animals in Ituri, they can be a little bit shyer. They like to use all that dense foliage. We'll be driving past to hide out, and it's their main form of defense against predators, just to kind of disguise themselves out there. We still got pretty lucky though, so we'll see what we find. See that big black and white bird hanging out kind of on the right there just before the water? That's a saddle-billed stork. He's pretty big. You can see he's got some really long legs. Saddle-billed storks are the tallest stork in Africa. They average about 5 feet tall. The tallest one ever recorded though was 5 feet 11 inches. Those long legs of theirs makes it just a little bit easier to kind of wade and wander through the waters and the rivers of the rainforest out here. And we're going to get a little bit closer to him, but top of that little cliffside by where the grasses are on the left, you can start seeing one of those black rhinos. Black rhino like that is about 3,000 pounds large. That is a really big animal, though they are actually the smallest subspecies of rhino on the African continent, so they can get even bigger than that. Always a treat to see those black rhinos out here. There is less than 5,000 of them left in the entire world because of that poaching they face. So it is really nice to be able to see them while they're still around and while we still can. Like most rhinos, they are unfortunately often hunted down for their horns. Some people think those rhino horns have some sort of value to them, medicinal or otherwise, when they're just made up of keratin. same material as our hair and our fingernails. They are basically worthless, but they're just an extra sad reason to know those animals are in so much danger out in the wild. And we've also got some of those greater kudu and those bongos. Gonna be some bongos up on the left as well. Those are the rust-colored ones with those really pretty curved horns up on their heads. And the greater kudu are those big tan ones there instead. Might see that they both have those stripes on their back and on their torsos. Serves the same purpose on both of them. Those stripes will kind of mimic what the sunlight looks like as it filters to the trees and the bamboo out here. That way they can blend it right in. Stay a little bit safer and a little more hidden away from any of those predators that might be lurking around the forest somewhere. Now we are going to make our way down the Safi River. The animals out here, they like to hang out sort of in the water, around the water. Tends to be a little cooler for them out there, so that is where we'll be looking. The big white birds on that island down there are some pink bass pelicans. A wingspan of about 9 feet long or so on those pelicans, so just about as wide as that canopy that's over your heads right now. And peeking out the water on the left here, you can see a couple of those hippos. That's how we often see the hippos. A little bit of their backs, a bit of their heads coming out the water. They do spend most of their day fully submerged. They only have to come out to breathe every 5 to 8 minutes or so. And even with all that time they spend underwater, they don't really swim. They will kind of glide for short distances, but for the most part, they just sink down to the very bottom of the river bed and then they walk or they run there as needed. So it is very easy for those animals to really just disappear into the deeper water out there. There's also going to be some Nile crocodiles as we cross this bridge out here. You can see a couple of them lounging kind of on the shore and on the grasses there. So you might also see some of those crocodiles laying really still in the water itself. That is the main way crocodiles like those hunt. They will lay out there for hours at a time. So they end up looking a little more like driftwood, sunken logs, anything like that. Then their prey will wander on past and not see where those crocodiles are hiding out. They are ambush predators in that regard, so they like to just sit around, wait for their food to come to them, and exert as little energy as possible during that whole process. The reason they can get away with doing that is because they have really slow metabolisms. Crocodiles like those can actually go months at a time without eating and be perfectly fine. Although typically they do prefer to have about one big meal a week. And we're gonna make our way through the savannah now. That is where we will hopefully get to see some of those really famous safari animals you're looking forward to. It is a really wide open space out there, so a lot of times as soon as we come on down this hill, we can start seeing those animals scattered along out there or way down on the other side of the fields. If you do see something and I don't mention it right away, it is very likely just because we're going to pull up a little closer to it as we keep on driving. So of course, feel free to enjoy any and all of those views as soon as you spot them. But again, don't worry too much if I don't mention something right away. This means we're going to get closer to it. All of those gray animals kind of walking along down on the right over there, those are all wildebeest. We almost always see them in their little groups and in their herds like this. That's how they stay safe from predators. It's just kind of finding that safety in numbers with each other. When wildebeest migrate across the savanna, they'll actually combine their herds. They travel with about 1.5 million or so wildebeest at a time. So many that all that dust and dirt they kick up when they're running, it'll form a dust cloud so big you can see it all the way from space. And when they are traveling out like that, they usually sleep kind of in little rows all facing the same direction. That way if anything were to startle or alarm one of those wildebeest, they can all stand up and take off running all together. They don't have to worry about figuring out what direction ahead or anything. out here. We're actually gonna have them on both sides of the truck as we make our way through here, so we both got a pretty good view of them. But these sort of look like cows. They've got those big wide horns up on their heads. That's the Coley cattle. Those horns of theirs are pretty big, so they might look pretty heavy. They are, however, made up of a honeycomb-like structure, so they're basically hollow. They only weigh about 30 or so pounds on average, which for a big animal like that is really not too much to carry around. They even have blood vessels running through those horns to keep them a little bit cooler during those hotter parts of the day and hotter parts of the year in particular. They are sometimes also referred to as the Watusi. They're named after the tribe that domesticated them out in Central Africa. One of just a couple of domesticated animals out on the reserve. All of those birds hanging out around that island. There are some greater flamingos. Greater flamingos, they are the lightest pink of all flamingos. That's why they have more of that light dusting of rose on them. Not that more rich and vibrant pink or magenta you might have been imagining instead. Still pretty beautiful birds though. And just like all flamingos, they are hatched a very grayish color. They kind of look like gray little cotton balls when they're first hatched. Their pink is a result of their diets. So that brine shrimp they eat, it has a beta carotene in it. Chemical that when they eat a whole lot of it will sort of tinge and dye their skin and feathers, that really famous pink of theirs. The reason they are that lighter shade is just because of their size. They are the biggest kind of flamingo. So by the time that chemical makes it through their whole body, they'll just sort of dilute it a little bit, and they end up that lighter shade of pink that we just saw there. make this turn here, kind of hiding out by where the logs are. If you see that movement there, there's a cheetah laying down. That's a little bit of her head and her paw that's sticking out there. There might be some more of them. There's actually one of the sort of right underneath all the trees, that little leaves way up top. I'm gonna pull up a little bit further forward, see if that one becomes a little bit more visible. There's one right at the very top of the hill walking as well. Those spots on the cheetahs helps them to blend in a little bit. Looks kind of like that foliage on the floor, that sunlight coming down through the trees. They are not actually the best of hunters, the cheetahs. Their prey often escapes them or it gets stolen from them by other predators down in the area. So they have to do whatever they can to help themselves out. From that camouflage to, of course, their speed. They are the fastest animal on land. They go about 0 to 60 in just 3 seconds. And they have top speeds of up to 72 miles per hour. They can't keep those speeds up for too long. They are built for those very short sprints, about a couple hundred yards at most. But still going 72 miles an hour is impressive, no matter how long you can keep it up for. Kind of coming out from behind those rocks here. You can see one of those lions. There's that boy. Oh, he's really lucky to get to see one of the lions this time of day. Lions are nocturnal, so they're more active pretty late at night, early in the morning when just about everything else is fast asleep. Makes it easier to ambush their prey that way. Ooh. I think he's done. Makes it easier to ambush their prey that way, but also their night vision is way better. Lions see about as well as we do during the day, but 6 times better than us at night. So of course, just kind of makes more sense to go out when it's darker. A boy like that will sleep and rest about 20 hours a day. So 9 times out of 10, if we're lucky enough to see any of those lions at all, which is certainly not a given. They'll just be napping and resting in a little back corner there. You can barely even see those. I'm super duper glad that he kind of emerged from those rocks and we got such a beautiful view of him. And then just before heading out of here, those 2 sort of shaggy gray ants up there are a pair of water buck. As you could probably guess from their name, water bucks do love the water. Not only does it keep them pretty cool and comfortable when it's hotter out, but they also run off into that water when they're being chased down by predators. That way they'll kind of get it out of their comfort zone, give themselves a little bit more of a fighting chance. Because of that, they of course really don't want to stray too far from that water and put themselves in any unnecessary danger. So they are one of pretty few animals out here that is rather hesitant to migrate. They really don't do it all too often. Gonna sit tight together just a couple more minutes to pull up to one of those unloading docks up ahead out there where you can head on out to enjoy the rest of your evening. I'd like to take this moment though to thank you all for joining me out on this safari. I know it's a little bit slower out there this time of day, but we still got to see a lot of really beautiful animals, and I certainly had a great time getting a chance to look at them out there, and I hope you all did as well. And it's always a treat to get to see those animals out there, not only because they are, of course, absolutely stunning, but also because so many of them are endangered out in the wild. So it's nice to see them while they're still around and while we still can. Although just because they're endangered doesn't mean we should give up on them completely, of course. We can all do our part to help keep those animals safe and on our planet for as long as possible. Whether that's contributing to conservation funds that helps them out in the wild, or looking into ways to make our homes and lifestyles a little more sustainable for those animals, for our planet, and for ourselves as well. Of course, it is our planet too, after all. If I have any wilderness explorers on board today, hopping on the Simba one, That'll be on pages 14 and 15 of that Wilderness Explorer booklet for you. And we should have a very straight shot to one of those unloading docks up there. So if you haven't already, now's a good time to double check those rows. Make sure you have everything you brought on board with you here today. I would double check pockets on yourself or on your bags just to make sure nothing tumbled out during any of the bumpier parts of the reserve or anything like that. And out here in Harambe, we like to say Kwaherini. That's Swahili for goodbye, so Kwaherini everyone. Once again, my name is Sebastian, and it's been a pleasure having you all aboard here today. If anyone has any lingering questions or just wants to say hi, feel free to come on up to my window. It's always open. But if not, Kwaherini, I hope you do all enjoy the rest of your evening out here, wherever that might take you. Now watch your hands, arms, legs, and feet.